Now, Beatrice Elachi has resigned as the Speaker of the County Assembly of Nairobi. What is the game plan? Is it possible that someone is trying to lay the ground to dissolve the county government of Nairobi? Because I know one thing for sure, that Beatrice Elachi enjoyed the support of President Uhuru Kenyatta and the support of Raila Odinga. So is someone trying to lay the ground to dissolve the county government of Nairobi? Or is it possible that Mike Sonko forced Beatrice Elachi to resign to avert any possibility of an impeachment motion against him? Because Mike Sonko can only be impeached if there is a speaker in office. Or is it possible that Beatrice Elachi has succumbed to the cartels in Nairobi? So today I want us to look at all this. But before we do that, I want you to listen to Beatrice Elachi reading her resignation letter earlier today.
Tender my resignation to His Excellency the President Uhuru Kenyatta, the President of the Republic of Kenya and the Commander-in-Chief of the Defense Forces. And I'll just read what I wrote at night to my President. Sir, it gives me great pleasure to have served as the Speaker of Nairobi County Assembly from September 2017, when we finished the elections, to date. We have seen tremendous change, but also challenges. With the coming in of the Nairobi Metropolitan Services, I believe Nairobi will transform to a better capital city. So, notwithstanding, for the last few days, we have seen lots of conflict and even life-threatening incidents. I humbly tender my resignation, and for continuity of the institution, I appoint my deputy pursuant to the law and the new act, the Honorable Speaker John Kamangu, who is the Deputy Speaker, to take over as the acting Speaker and also the Chairperson of the Nairobi County Service Board as the Assembly prepares to recruit a new Speaker. I also leave the Assembly well prepared, and I know we are in court, but the orders were given, and Jacob Gwele was told to step aside. We had Ada Onyango. All of them are in court, and therefore they were told to step aside until the case is over on the 16th of October. And I therefore appoint the acting clerk, who has been there, Ms. Pauline Okuku, to continue serving as the acting clerk, but who is also the deputy clerk administration, to support the Honorable John Kamangu during this period.
No, that's Beatrice Elachi. So the resignation by Beatrice Elachi now means a lot of things. Number one, in Nairobi today, we don't have a deputy governor. A deputy governor is the person who can act in case the governor resigns or leaves office. So we don't have a deputy governor. It also means that we don't have a speaker, because the speaker is the only person who can act. If the deputy governor is not in office, then it means the speaker can act, but for 90 days pending an election. So in this case, we don't have a speaker because the current one can only act. It also means that in Nairobi County, we don't have a clerk. Because because if you listen to Beatrice Elachi, she actually went further and appointed a clerk who is also just acting. It also means that in Nairobi today, the core functions are not with the county government. Those functions were transferred to the Nairobi Metropolitan Services. So it means nothing will change much if the county government of Nairobi is dissolved. The other thing is that in Nairobi today, the governor has actually been barred from accessing his office because of the corruption cases. But what was the main motive of Beatrice Elachi resignation? Because Beatrice Elachi, we know, was enjoying the support of the system, of President Uhuru Kenyatta, of Jubilee Party, and of Raila Odinga. And we also know that Beatrice Elachi fought so hard to make a comeback in Nairobi. If you listened to Beatrice Elachi closely, 2 points were very clear. That Beatrice Elachi thanked the president for the opportunity. Her letter is actually addressed to President Uhuru Kenyatta. We all know that Article 178(1) stipulates very clearly that each county assembly shall have a speaker elected by the county assembly. Which means if Beatrice Elachi were to resign, she would actually go further and address it to the clerk of the county assembly. So is Beatrice Elachi playing games in this particular resignation? Because someone will wake up tomorrow and claim that Beatrice Elachi did not resign procedurally, so she can actually make a comeback. And the other thing which came out clearly is that Beatrice Elachi appointed John Kamangu, who is the deputy speaker. Of course, constitutionally, he's not the one who is supposed to act. And then also a clerk. Who gave her those responsibilities? Is she playing games? Let me play politics a bit. President Uhuru Kenyatta has been touring Nairobi of late. Yesterday, he was in Kibra for the first time, and I'm going to do a comprehensive video on that particular visit by President Uhuru Kenyatta. The president has been touring Nairobi at night. We know the president was recently graced the event by the Nairobi Metropolitan Services. So the tours by the president have always come at a time when the Nairobi Metropolitan Services had issues with Governor Sonko. When the president accompanied Major Mbadi to some event in Nairobi, that time Mike Sonko had actually started issuing threats about pulling out of the transfer or deed of transfer. So the president has been moving around Nairobi just to affirm his support for the Major General. So this impeachment, this resignation by Beatrice Elachi, in my view, is very suspect. But it can only be possible that Beatrice Elachi resigned because of these 5 reasons. Number 1, in my opinion, I think President Uhuru Kenyatta prevailed upon Beatrice Elachi to resign. There is no way Beatrice Elachi can just wake up one morning in the night to jot a resignation letter. Currently, I don't think she was under threat the way she was before. I don't think so. Because she had the full support of the system. We know the police are currently stationed at the County Assembly of Nairobi. We also know that Raila Odinga is actually supporting Beatrice Elachi. Raila and Uhuru are also concerned with the prevailing environment, with the prevailing politics at the County Assembly of Nairobi and in Nairobi in general. So probably they want to put someone whom they believe can match Mike Sonko in Nairobi, or they are preparing to dissolve the county government of Nairobi. So the best way is to prevail upon Beatrice Elachi to resign. Once she's out of office, then she'll be given an appointment by the government, either in the same Nairobi Metropolitan Services. Then once that is done, then the ground will now be laid. Will now be laid for the dissolution of the County Assembly of Nairobi, because there will be now enough grounds to dissolve the county government of Nairobi. You can't have a county government. You can't have a county government which does not have a governor who cannot step in office There is no deputy governor. There is no speaker. Again, there is no clerk. So something tells me that the president probably prevailed upon Beatrice Elachi because the fight at the county assembly were impacting negatively in the country and outside the country. So I'm convinced, beyond any reasonable doubt, that the president probably prevailed on Beatrice Elachi to resign. Number two, we also know that Mike Sonko is a street politician. He's very shrewd. Mike Sonko has been involved in fights with the new Major General of late. The Nairobi Metropolitan Services was a creation of President Uhuru Kenyatta after Mike Sonko prevailed upon him to make those changes. But Mike Sonko today feels that the Nairobi Metropolitan Services are going beyond their mandates. And probably Mike Sonko has realized that there were plans to actually impeach him. So how do you avert that kind of impeachment? The only way to avert impeachment of a governor is to ensure that there's chaos at the county assembly, because that's where the impeachment motion takes place. So the first war between Mike Sonko and Elachi was over the clerk, because the clerk is the one who will be notified to, who will write the letter and notify the speaker. I mean, the speaker will use this clerk to initiate this process. So Mike Sonko wanted his clerk to remain in office. Elachi kicked the clerk out. So these guys are in court, and the court, I think, kicked all of them out pending resolution of the matter. But still, this thing can still go on as long as Beatrice Elachi was there. So what Mike Sonko, in my view, could have done or might have done is to decide that the best thing for me is to send this lady home. And if the statement by Beatrice Elachi is anything to go by, where he told the entire country that Mike Sonko was actually threatening not only her, but including members of her family, I think she decided now to succumb to the pressure. So Mike Sonko would then have scored big, because now in the next 90 days, no impeachment motion can actually be initiated against him. It would have been very easier for Mike Sonko to be impeached. So you impeach the governor. We have Nairobi Metropolitan Services running the operations of the county. Then you impeach the governor. Then you decide to dissolve the county. If you don't dissolve the county, then you initiate an election. Then in that election, Mike Sonko will be locked out. Once he's locked out, then everything will move on. Speaker will take office for 90 days as she prepares for an election. So the only way to avert that is to ensure that we don't have a speaker in Nairobi today. And if that's the case, then I'm sure Mike Sonko has done so well. Number three, I think there could also be possibility that Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga are keen on fixing the mess in the county assembly of Nairobi. And that's why Fred Okengo Matiang'i spoke very harshly about the county government of Nairobi and deployed security around that particular assembly. So something tells me that probably the president in his own mind, or the people who manage the system in their own mind, are not happy with what's happening at the county assembly. So they are planning to dissolve the county assembly for 90 days. It can happen. It can be dissolved for 90 days. Then during these 90 days, everything will be fixed. So a new clerk will be appointed. Probably MCS will be out. Then they'll be told, now after 90 days, elect a new speaker. And this is the speaker we are going to give you. Then once we give you this kind of speaker, then this is what, because this thing just lies in the hands of President Uhuru Kenyatta to dissolve the county government of Nairobi. There are enough grounds. These guys have created enough grounds. And number four, maybe, being a woman, Elachi just succumbed to the intimidation of the MCS. MCS can really intimidate you, especially the ones from Nairobi. Because, you know, these guys, they need money. They need to travel. They need to do ABCD. This, you know, the politics in Nairobi was just too much. So probably Elachi realized that, you see, what I'm involving myself here is really not worth. The noise, the intimidation, you know, it's not worth. So she decided just to take a break. And lastly, probably she has realized that Nairobi, being the speaker of the county, Assembly of Nairobi is hurting her prospect of becoming the next member of parliament for Dagoretti North. Arati is likely to run for the governorship, either in Nairobi or Kisii. But again, if Arati will not do that, it means Arati will then stay and contest again. Beatrice Elachi, because now we have Uhuru and Raila on one side, believes very strongly that now gives her the chance to fight for that seat. So probably she has decided now, let me focus on that seat. He as speaker, sioni kama inaleta shangwe. So in my view, those are the possibility. But I strongly believe that a ground is being laid to impeach or to dissolve the county government of Nairobi. I don't know what you think, but let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you guys, and please may you have a good day.